In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. But once there was hope, a dream of unity under a single godlike being, the Emperor of Mankind. And at the center of that dream stood one man, his most trusted son, his favored general, Horus Lupercal. This is the story of his rise, his corruption, and his ultimate downfall. When the Emperor set out to reclaim the scattered worlds of humanity, he forged 20 sons, demigods bred for war, each destined to lead a legion of space marines. Horus was the first found, the Warmaster before the title even existed. Born on the feral world of Chthoniya, he was a fierce, charismatic, and utterly loyal son to his father. The Emperor raised him not only as a warrior, but as a son in truth. Whilst the others would later resent the Emperor's distance, Horus basked in his presence. Together, they brought countless worlds into compliance. Under Horus's command, the Lunar Wolves became legends. And when the Emperor withdrew to Terra to pursue secret projects, he left one man to lead the Great Crusade in his stead. It was the pinnacle of his glory and the beginning of his undoing. Horus was a being of unmatched power and charisma, but also of pride. When the Emperor departed without explanation, Horus felt abandoned. Into that wound stepped whispers from jealous brothers, from ambitious mortals, and from the gods of the warp. On the moon of Davin, Horus was mortally wounded by a cursed weapon. His legion, desperate, brought him to the Serpent Lodge, where the dark powers offered him a vision. They showed him a future where the Emperor was worshipped as a god and his sons reduced to slaves. A lie, wrapped in half-truths, but it was enough. When Horus awoke, the Warmaster's faith was gone. In its place, ambition, fear, and the mark of chaos. He turned brother against brother. Fulgrim, Mortarion, Angron, and others fell to his side. The galaxy burned, and the Horus Heresy had begun. What followed was 7 years of nightmare. Horus's rebellion shattered the dream of the Imperium before it was even complete. Brother fought brother. Entire legions were annihilated. And finally, the Warmaster brought his armies to Terra itself. The siege of the Imperial Palace, a previously unthinkable event. A final confrontation between father and son. The siege of Terra was ending. The walls of the Imperial Palace lay shattered. The defenders broken, the dream of the Imperium all but dead. On the bridge of his flagship, the Vengeful Spirit, Horus Lupercal, Warmaster, son, and traitor, awaited his father. The Emperor of Mankind would come for him, and the fate of humanity would be decided by 2 gods made flesh. The Emperor, guarded by the last of his custodians and the Primarch Rogel Dawn, teleported into the heart of the ship, only to be scattered by sorcery. When father and son met again, there were no words at first. The Emperor stood radiant, his psychic might held tight within his mortal frame. Horus, vast and terrible, his form shifting with the will of the gods, smiled. He was no longer human. He was the champion of chaos undivided. The duel began, not with blades, but with power. Warp storms flared within the ship's hull. Reality buckled as the 2 greatest beings in existence fought for the soul of mankind. Horus struck with the might of the gods. Worlds could die in his blows. The Emperor matched him, every movement precise, desperate, and filled with sorrow. Before the Emperor's arrival, another had stood before Horus, Sanguinius, the angel, noble to the last. He had seen the darkness in Horus's heart and refused to yield. For his defiance, Horus struck him down, the sound of his death echoing across the warp. It was the last light extinguished before the storm. He overpowered the Emperor, broke his guard, shattered his armor. And then he paused. His demons laughed as the Emperor, broken and bleeding, fell to his knees. Horus could have killed him. Instead, he let him live, to suffer, to understand his failure. In that moment, a mortal guardsman stumbled into the chamber, weapon raised in futile courage. Horus turned, and with a thought, unmade him, body, soul, everything, erased from existence. The Emperor saw this, and he understood. His son was gone, only the monster remained. The Emperor rose, no longer a father, no longer a man, but the master of mankind. He unleashed the full power of his soul, every ounce of psychic might he had withheld for the love of his son. Horus screamed as the gods abandoned him, their plaything now a candle before a star. The Emperor's light burned away the corruption, the armor, the demons, and finally, the soul of Horus Lupercal itself. The Warmaster was annihilated, utterly, irrevocably. Nothing of him remained. Horus Lupercal was the brightest of the Emperor's creations, and his greatest tragedy. He sought to save humanity from tyranny, and in doing so, doomed it to eternal war. 10,000 years later, his name is still whispered, not with reverence, but with warning. Even the mightiest can fall. And in the grim darkness of the far future, they always do.